ようこそどうぞはじめまして
Hello everyone, welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. For today's episode, we are going to be doing the Winter 2020 anime season wrap-up.
Spring 2020, isn't it?
Spring 2020?
Please tell me it's spring and not winter.
I think I don't know why I wrote winter somewhere, whatever. But spring 2020, because we're going to summer 2020.
Actually,
wow,
I don't know. Let's go back to... You know what? Actually, no. Let's go back to winter 2020. So, Dorohedoro, am I right, guys?
Dorohedoro invaded.
Right, what a great season. Man, sure looks...
Azoken.
Anime sure is looking great, and nothing wrong has happened to the world yet, so...
God damn it.
Well... Spring 2020 also had some good shows, but we better savor them while we can here for the last time we're going to talk about them. Given how summer season looks, you can go back to our preview podcast last time to get some thoughts on that. And let me tell you, I've watched a couple of these new shows already, and we have been 100% correct so far. So, yes, let's enjoy talking about these good shows one last time while we still can. On the podcast today, I'm Jel, and I am joined by Iroh.
Still here. I'm not dead yet.
And also G.
What's good, y'all?
And we are three-manning it today, although I did have a quote from Artemis she did want to mention.
Okay, I'm glad you wrote that down.
We can
Yes.
bring up we can bring up her discourse for each given show mentioned.
She could not join us today, unfortunately, but she mentioned for Sing Yesterday for me, nobody deserved that ending, not the characters, not the viewers. We'll talk about
Agreed.
that. And for listeners, oh hell no, that is all. So
Sounds about right.
yeah. So, that aside, I promise there were good shows this season. Those may not have been the best examples. So, we'll give our final thoughts on all that. And, to start, I did want to just shout out, the Great Pretender again, because...
Great Pretender.
Just
Great Pretender. Not the...
I do that every single time.
But
yes, Great Pretender. I just wanted to shout out because technically that was also airing partially last season and going into next season, and we've talked pretty extensively about the first arc, the Los Angeles arc, and we've been watching the second part, which is the Singapore arc, episodes 6 through 11. I know you guys haven't finished yet, so I won't say too much.
Right.
But it's, as you guys have figured out, it's the Abby arc, and there's some crazy premise with these. They're trying to get one over on these group of brothers running some airplane racing circuit or something. Some crazy. It's a pretty fantastic heist movie type of premise.
oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's
with big dollars flying around and stuff like that. It's pretty great. And maybe we'll talk more about that once we get back to.
I will say I appreciate the amount of middle fingers in that show.
Yes, there's a lot.
It's given me some real primo freaking early 2000s Capcom Devil May Cry energy of just oh man, we're so fucking cool, we're just giving
Fuck
everybody
off,
the finger.
Featherface.
Yeah, basically. Just but yeah,
there's a lot of people getting flipped off. Yes,
that show continues to be at least so far the only good thing to come out of the summer season. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The characters are all very enjoyable. It really is unlike anything else that's airing, at least in anime anyways. Obviously there are movies I could compare Great Pretender to. I mean, I look forward to the inevitable arc in which Abby drives a Dodge Charger off the top floor of the Burj Khalifa into a drifting plane that happens to fly by at the same time. But that's for the Fast and Furious fans out there.
Yeah, that does seem that is the same kind of energy we get out of the show sometimes, yes. For sure. Especially when we're racing airplanes right now.
Right.
But yeah, well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to dissect that all as we are scrambling for things to talk about.
For something to talk about, yeah.
Next episode.
Look forward to the GLORIO chat brings back the Gotcha podcast, because we're really going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel this season for things
we can talk about Alice and Yoko Taro all day.
Oh, that game is bad. Maybe we'll
good bad or bad.
Yeah, it's mostly legitimately a bad game.
Like legitimately not a good Gotcha game.
Okay, but what about Yoko Taro's interview circuit?
Yes, we've gotten some great gems from his interviews, but the game itself, not so much. But
like the great Yoko Taro himself said, let's talk about some moving pictures.
Hell, they're moving pictures that they talk. That's all you need.
Yeah, yes, that he did actually literally say that. All you need is anime, but
well, this season I'm not so sure, but
yeah, well, let's talk about some of the good stuff that we did watch last season and wrap these things up. So let's get into Kakushigoto. We did talk pretty extensively about the final episode last week, but
we all held back on spoilers because of the context of that podcast. But now that we're on the we're discussing shows and their endings podcast. What exactly was his issue? Was the thing? I know G said he was right. Was it
okay? If you want the full details, yes. So he did not die. He went into a coma after his career spiraled downhill.
I called it.
And he was working just like regular odd jobs. One of them being a forklift operator in a warehouse that had that was storing manga, and he something got messed up where the pallet of manga fell on him and he went into a coma.
Okay.
He was literally crushed by a pallet of manga.
Was it good manga that crushed him?
I mean, it was I think it was literally Shonen Jump, right? It was literally the publication he used to write for, to draw for. Right. because it is this author, right? It is all about karmic irony. So, of course, the detail is that the reason why the pallet collapsed is because somebody tore open the wrapping of the pallet to steal one volume so that they could post
spoilers
on the internet. And it very much is just getting into just maybe the author of Kakushigoto has some things to say about people who spoil manga early. Maybe you might be writing some of that into this story, just saying. But yes, so yeah, he basically, it's... I mean, the more roundabout thing is basically, yes, he quits writing manga after he gets, I guess, disgraced by social media. Again, maybe the author has some things to say about social media as well.
Man, what did he get canceled for?
For writing a comedy manga despite having a dead wife, which apparently is socially unacceptable in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that was not public knowledge, and then that became public.
And apparently it was just so disgraceful. It's man, apparently
how dare you live life after you become a widow?
Yeah, well, apparently it was specifically writing comedy manga, gag manga. That was just so it broke the camel's back here.
Right.
And so we discover that he made a good amount of money, but he spent it all searching for his wife, who apparently was lost at sea or something. That's what happened to her.
As one does.
I mean, apparently she is gone. He doesn't find her or anything, but he spent all his money doing that. So after his career falls apart, he's just working random odd jobs, and that's how he ends up in the coma.
Yeah.
And we get he's only... it was a little unclear to me. He was only in a coma for like a year, right?
It doesn't actually seem like that long, right? Because we
Okay.
have the flashback from Hime. It's not like Hime grew up and the rest of her life an orphan. It seems like she at least made it into high school before
Before he went to the coma.
Right, so you know.
So it's not. It was It was a little bit confusing because when he does wake up, he thinks she's 11 again.
Right.
But it wasn't like he wasn't there
Around.
between ages 11 to 17 or
He just
whatever. He was
lost his memory of the intervening years.
right.
Yeah, basically.
So he still thinks he is a mangaka.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Like down to like when he wakes up from the coma and his assistants and former editor are there. He's like, "All right, let's start up. Where did we leave off
What's the
last week?
deadline?
Chapter basically, yeah." He like starts up again, and like the joke is he basically writes the exact same fucking chapter that he did, pre-coma, but with no like apparent knowledge of it.
Right.
But yeah, I think, we could just recap the whole episode, but I think really the thing, maybe that's actually the meat of like discussing this is that I think that, I think we kind of got into it before, but like as an ending, it's one of those situations where I think that this is the perfect ending that Kakushigoto deserved. I think that it is it's a little sappy, right? Like he does, spoilers, he recovers from his amnesia. Like, Hime does this, she makes a big plan, with her friends to, dramatic music is playing, and she performs an act that makes her dad regain his memory. And
Sure.
it's all well and good. It's nice, It even ends with a sweet little twist that Hime has her own secret that she has also begun to draw manga, and
Right.
she doesn't want her dad to know.
Okay.
Yeah, and they
Go
had
for
the like
reversal. We've gone full
yeah,
circle.
and I think the climax was when he's drawing manga and doesn't remember what's happening. Hime's thinking, "Oh, he looks so happy. This must be the happiest he ever is." And then the big climax is when he reveals that his real happiness is his daughter's happiness,
Of
or
course.
something like that.
Right, of
That's
course.
like
It's
the big sappy emotional climax, which I was fine with. It was
Yeah,
it was
it's all
good.
it's all very cute. It's all very nice. Again, like there's nothing like inherently disappointing about it. I think the issue that we kind of talked about is like this is a climax that probably needed at least one, probably two more episodes to lead into. Like
No.
because the first 10 minutes, okay, so again, not to recap the whole thing, but the first 10 minutes of this episode alone have Hime summarizing what happened to her dad, like, in the intervening years, right? The fact that he's in a coma, meeting with her half-brother, because it turns out that Kakushi-sensei is the bastard love child of, like, a Kabuki dynasty,
What?
and that he purposely ran away from to pursue manga, and like that's the real reason why like his wife / Hime's mom's like family doesn't approve of who he is, because he comes from a good family but has purposely like abandoned his blood, his lineage. And said half brother, who has never been introduced up till now, is like, "Don't worry, Hime. I know you're worried that maybe you weren't your father's real daughter, but you definitely are." And apparently that was a big worry for Hime all this time, was that she worried all her life that maybe she secretly wasn't her father's daughter. And apparently that was a thing she was concerned about this whole time that they did not tell us.
Never come up at any point except
Right.
10 minutes into the last episode.
Like,
right.
we had never been given any indication that Hime was like concerned about her lineage or like the nature of her relationship with her father. Like, as far as we could all tell, they were a perfectly loving family that was a single parent household doing the best he could, right? But apparently this episode reveals no, she had deep seated fears about the legitimacy of her birth.
But like, was there any indication up until now that that would be a question at all?
No,
No.
not even slightly.
No. Like the only even like remotely related thing was we see him talk to his father-in-law a couple times, and they do not have a good relationship. But you just assume
That's because the wife is dead.
right, the wife is dead, and he draws
Dumb
pervy
manga,
manga
yeah.
for a living, and so there would have been no way to figure that out. I guess unless because I'm assuming all that stuff happened in the manga, and that was like one of those things where like the director has to make a call. Do I just like not include this, or do we try to cram it in? And I guess if I had my anime director hat on, you could have literally cut all of that and nothing.
Yeah, no, there was really nothing to be gained from the half brother like subplot reveal, because like he's not even the one to deliver the news that Kakushi Sensei has woken up from his coma, right? That's the teacher who is
no, he literally just like walks in, tells her all that backstory, and then walks back
and then
out.
leaves.
Like,
He literally, I mean,
right.
it to the point that like. It is almost, I mean, in many ways, it almost reminds me of like a stage play where he enters and then exits the stage. Like,
right.
Like he literally exits the stage as soon as his role is complete. Like he doesn't stick around for Kakushi waking up. He doesn't stick around as like emotional support. He's just like, hey, I needed to tell you this one specific fact that only my character would know for some reason. Okay, I'm good. See you later. And again, I wonder how much of this is a result of the fact that Kakushigoto, the manga, was ending around the same time, and it's just like, well, this is the ending. You need to find a way to get there, and you only have this many episodes, and
right.
Again, it feels like a Made in Abyss, or maybe even a Dorohedoro situation of just like, oh, the like actually like narratively appropriate climax probably it needed a little bit more time in the oven, right? It needed a little bit more build up, and like, I think we needed at least one episode of Teen Hime living with Kakushi, post-manga career, right? Like...
Right.
We just
where we could have brought up her insecurities and...
Right. Like...
Things that were... Because as things were going bad, because we've only seen things relatively good up to now, right?
Yeah. And it's a little unfortunate, but, I think that...
Yeah.
I don't... You go ahead.
I don't think it, like, as much as we're talking about it, I don't think it's, like, a huge blow to the overall show.
No, definitely not. And, again, I think it is a testament to, like, how thoroughly Bunny Drop poisoned the well that we look at Kakushigoto and we're like, well, at least he didn't fuck his kid, so, you know what? This is one of the good dad anime. Which... I mean, but in all seriousness, even with that bar removed, I really do think that, like, I'm ready to call Kakushigoto probably, look, maybe one day I'll read Hinamatsuri, but for now, Kakushigoto is probably the new holder of the title of the best dad anime, so...
If we're going anime to anime, I might consider putting Kakushigoto over Hinamatsuri as a dad anime.
Specifically as a dad anime. As a comedy,
as a comedy, Hinamatsuri is way
right,
funnier.
Hinamatsuri fucking...
But that's trying to be more comedy,
right,
whereas
yes,
Kakushigoto leans more into its more serious side more often.
Yeah. I mean, if we were talking about, like, what was the best, like, sincere, like, anime about a dad raising a kid, I think Kakushigoto is definitely up there. It's, despite whatever we might say about the ending, the show as a whole was...
Yeah, because it has, like, if you compare it to something like, say, Sweetness and Lightning, for example, like, that's a great show, but it's not very ambitious, right? Like,
right.
This has more, like, ambition to it, more of a unique personality to it.
Because, I mean, I think something like Sweetness and Lightning, which is, again, a very sweet show, a very sincere show, but, like... And I'm not saying that a show has to do this to be good, but yeah, it never really tries to reach in the way that Kakushigoto does, in the way it tries to wrangle with, the realities of being a single parent, and
yeah, and it does things that I think make it have its own strong identity and personality to it. It's not just, single dad trying to figure out how to raise his daughter. There's, other funny things going on and whatnot.
Right. Like,
so,
I mean, in a lot of ways, it kind of does something similar. Maybe not as well, but it does something sort of similar to the next show on our list, where the thing it avoids is that I think a lot of anime comedies fall into the trap of having a single premise, and so every joke and every bit has to be based on that premise. And I think a weaker show would focus exclusively on the "oh no, I'm a mangaka" antics, or "oh no, I'm a single dad" antics. And thankfully, the thing Kakushigoto does well is it alternates between the two. Sometimes it mixes them, and sometimes it focuses on one exclusively. And as a result, for a 12-episode show anyways, that gives it enough material to keep the jokes pretty fresh.
Right. And it'll take that, because the real singular premise is that he has to hide his job from his daughter. Like, they take that joke and they use that as a base to go into completely other different directions, rather than every week is, how do I keep this from Hime finding out what I do? So yeah, G, I feel you setting up the transition here now.
I think we've said our piece about Kakushigoto. Again, real solid show, but I think that again, a really good anime comedy and a really sweet, sincere show. It's just when you're in the same season as what's next on this list, I mean, what can compare?
Yeah, there were points in this season we were calling Kakushigoto the best show of the season, but I don't think we can really say that.
No, not after the way not after the way Kaguya-sama decides to finish up. It's
yeah. So we talked about Kaguya-sama Love is War last time as well, but that was the second to last episode.
Correct.
I think that was the only show on this list that hadn't finished by the time we had talked last time. But we did get the final episode, which was a good appropriate ending. I feel like maybe our emotional climax was the episode before, but they found a good way to tie a bow on it for now.
I think so. Yeah, I think that again, maybe this is one of those pacing things of like, well, this is what we got to finish the season, but I think they did a good job of it, right? Like you have the first half, which is the emotional core of the episode, but also is like meant to like serve as again, maybe not as, dramatic as the last episode of season 1, but I think it does a good job of serving as an emotional capstone and as a sort of as a declaration of the, like, again, like, for a comedy, the rather, like, notable character development that has happened over the last 2 seasons, right?
Right.
Like, we're talking about Kaguya, right? The stereotypical student council ice queen. And, the premise of this episode is basically her cell phone breaks, and
her ancient flip phone.
Right, her ancient fucking Nokia-ass flip phone. And there's no way, and they kind of get into that. She got into taking pictures with it, right? Like recording the memories with her and her friends and her classmates.
But now all the pictures are gone.
Right, because unfortunately she was not aware of cloud storage or whatever.
I'm sure that phone did not support cloud storage.
No, I mean, they mentioned that phone doesn't even have a fucking SD card, so, like,
right.
We're talking some old shit here, and, like, it kind of fucks her up, right? Like losing those memories, but, I mean, look, describing it doesn't make it sound that special. It's a very classic, like, we lose memories, but in some ways we gain new ones, right? Like, she gets a smartphone, she discovers the world of cloud storage. Turns out that all of her friends and classmates have also been taking photos, and they upload them to her phone basically, right? And
right. And it gives an opportunity to show the character development and look back on how far we've come since the beginning of the show, because they do, they're going through the pictures and you're like, oh, I remember that thing that happened, and and it gives it sort of a nice sweet moment to end on.
Yeah.
Except that doesn't end the episode.
No, because then they switch to the second half of the episode, in which they play one of the worst Mario Party minigames.
Oh, awesome. Is it the fucking river raft where you...
No. As Fujiwara calls it, it's the pump it game, where you pump it as many times as you want.
It's the soda shaking.
You pump it to pleasure yourself, as Fujiwara would keep phrasing it as.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me more.
So it ends up being, yes, she says it very suggestively, which raises an eyebrow with everybody, but it ends up being a balloon, and
yes,
they have
and
a pump, and everybody
bigger.
has to pump
Yes, you called it. Yes, you called it. It is the balloon minigame where you can pump it as many times as you want, but if you pump it last and it explodes all over you, you lose.
Mm-hmm.
And so they drag that out as long as possible, which was actually pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's I will say that part of the joke is dumb and predictable, but there's also something very funny about like the execution of it, because specifically Ishigami and Shirogane are excited about it, but also it's like, why the fuck would those two people of all people, like... I mean, they basically, the joke is like, wait, what were you guys expecting? And they're just like, what were we expecting?
Right.
like, wait, did we just play to this dumb bit because, like, that's what's expected of us? But...
Yeah, it's pretty great because... Obviously, the manga's still going, so they don't have, like, a good stopping point, right?
Right.
So they just go full Osamatsu, and the balloon blows up.
Yeah, so
the balloon blows up and everybody dies, and except for Kaguya and Shirogane at the end, like the world has been destroyed by the
yes, the planet cracks
like none of
in
it
half.
None of it means anything, of course, but it's just like a fun, silly way to end. So that we don't end on a.
It's very well done, right? Like it's kind of a classic. Again, it's not. You could say that a lot of things about the last episode of Kaguya-sama are not like that revolutionary, especially compared to what the show has pulled off in the past. But it is that reminder that, hey, when this show just wants to be like a baseline anime comedy, it's even fucking amazing at that, right? Like,
right,
because like it's all the little flourishes of the episode, right? Like the balloon being way bigger than you would expect a balloon of that size to be, right? Like it fills up 2/3 of the room. It
destroys the Earth when it blows up.
Right. They lean into every character participating in that game gets their fucking moment, right? Like you get Ishigami being like, I've played this game before, I know what to do. And then like immediately hard cuts to him being fucking scared out of his mind, right? Or like Shirogane being like, Shirogane notices that Kaguya is actually super scared, and because she has a weak heart, like, the surprise of the balloon could, like, actually be dangerous to her. And so he has a flashback to, like, the one and only time his dad ever gave him good advice about how, like, a man should sacrifice everything for the woman he loves. Like, a man can be a scoundrel, a man can be a villain, but the one thing he should never do is, like, let harm come to a woman if he has the ability to stop it. And then he goes up, pumps it once, and immediately passes the turn to Kaguya. And it's just so fucking good. It's like...
Yeah, you get, like, one little final taste of everybody's, like, personality and everything, right? Like, it's real good, and I contend that everybody being dead floating in space is the best way to end your anime.
Excellent.
So, I really hope we get a season 3. I mean, even in the show, they're like, "See you next time" or something. Like, there's no announcement made or anything. But
I think
I feel good about it happening. I hope we get it, because it is a pretty popular show at this point, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Again, nothing is set in stone, of course, right? But, it seems like that show was very popular, right? Like, again, I don't know how it sold, maybe... Look, I know at bare minimum it probably sold better than Hinamatsuri, right? So...
Low bar.
That's a very, very low bar.
So I can only assume its prospects are at least slightly better than that.
Oh, I can say with certainty there will never be another season of Hinamatsuri, but...
Yeah, I mean, hey,
especially
pour one out for Hinamatsuri, but at least...
The manga is ending this month, too, so there's no manga to promote after this.
Yeah,
so it's done. Go read it. Now's the time.
Yeah, at least Kaguya-sama, at least one of the good anime comedies out there is being rightfully recognized for its quality. And, again, I think... We keep saying it, right, but... I think the reason we can even look forward to a third season of Kaguya-sama, compared to, like, even the season 2 of some anime comedies we've liked, right? Like, look at what happened to Osamatsu, or look what happened to Classicaloid, right? Like,
ouch.
Like, I think the reason we can even keep looking forward to Kaguya-sama is because we generally don't know what's going to happen next, right? Like, look, this thing is not, like, dropping these like bombshell status quo changes, but like things evolve and develop just enough that it's like, what new bits are they going to invent? Because of like, what new characters are going to be mixed into the cast that are going to like offer, like just
like,
enough spontaneity.
Even though Kaguya and Shirogane haven't hooked up yet, like we're not in the same place that we were from episode 1 of season 1. Like we're in a different, like the characters have grown into and evolved over time. And or something like the thing with Ishigami, where we just opened that up 2 episodes ago.
Yeah,
of like a whole other area to explore.
Right, like we are clearly not done with the Ishigami pseudo harem arc that they seem to be building up to. Like, I feel like again, I did like when they were taking pictures in the last episode, and it turns out that Ishigami and Ino are super hot if they just fix their hair. Yes. They could become the main characters if they just like got a makeover, basically.
If they just comb their hair, basically, they would be super hot.
And again, I wonder if that is like them poking fun at this idea that like maybe those characters are going to be the focus like going forward. Because again, I'm not to say that like Shirogane and Kaguya are like done yet as characters, but it's like, again, this is baseless speculation. Neither of us have read the manga. We could be way fucking off base here, but like, I feel like if there's a 3rd season of Kaguya-sama, like, you can't string along this, like, will they, won't they thing that much longer, right? Like, a season 3...
even this season, I feel like they did not go that... I mean, obviously, you have to keep tapping into that well, but, like, I feel like that was not as much as previously. Like, we started exploring other characters or other...
Right, and so
other aspects of their life aside from their
and so what I mean is that like you can't do the are Shirogane and Kaguya finally gonna get together like for a 3rd season. Like I think that's gotta happen eventually, right? And then if that does happen, like, and the manga is still going, like, where does the comedy come from next, right? Basically, like, you need to find another source of.
I mean, do you think they would keep the story going after they hook up though?
I just feel like, so here's my thing, right? So this is just me like working off of like my genre savviness here, but like, so the manga's still going, correct? Probably, so there's probably like at bare minimum, like in the grand scheme of things, probably 4 seasons worth of anime content, right? If we're going to season 3, this hypothetical season 3, like, maybe Kaguya can. Maybe the show can pull this off. But my like gut feeling is like 3 seasons is about as much as you can get away with stringing people along with like, are they going to get together or not? Wink, wink. It's like you stretch it any more than that. And I think even as good as Kaguya-sama is as a show, like I feel like even your most ardent fans are going to be like, you're really still doing this bit, huh? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like you gotta have a status quo.
If they did get together, there would still be plenty of comedy gold. I think, as neither of them is capable of understanding what a romantic relationship actually
right.
is.
And I mean, that's what I mean. But, like I have so much confidence in that show's ability to change up the status quo and find new jokes. That like,
I mean, love would still be war.
Exactly, right? They could get together, and honestly, that just opens up a new door for the kinds of jokes you can have, you can play with, right?
I mean, at this point, it's practically a technicality that they're not together, but
right,
yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to know that point at this stage. I wouldn't want that spoiled for me.
Right,
but.
Exactly. So I mean, yeah, again, hopefully we get a season 3 announcement.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's
move on to the less good shows.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess if we're talking about comedies getting another season,
yeah, I guess
we can talk about My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom.
Oh boy,
which got a surprise season 2 announcement right at the end of the last episode.
Except like, so the whole thing is that she reincarnated into the Otome game, and whether on purpose or accidentally made everyone from the Otome game fall in love with her. Except by the end of this season, it's the end of where the actual Otoma game ends. And
Right.
so, like, what's the
Right. So
what's
the whole
gimmick left?
right. The whole gimmick was that she knew what was going to happen, and she
Right.
was trying to prevent the bad endings. So if the story continues as is, it's just going to be a completely brand new.
It's just a
okay.
weird
Now I'm living my
fantasy
life
thing.
with everyone
reverse
from
harem.
every gender falling in love with me at all. You know. But yeah. It's like I and the other thing is like I did enjoy the show,
Sure.
and the ending was kind of, I mean, it was fine. I was laughing about the bad guy being named Serious Dick, and they had to constantly yell his entire name
Every
single time.
Yep.
Like, you know, where are you, Serious Dick? We need to find Serious Dick.
Oh boy.
Boy, Dooley.
I should point out it was spelled like SIRIUSDIEKE or something like that. So it wasn't, but it was pronounced essentially Serious Dick, and they were yelling that
I
constantly.
mean,
It was
yes.
hilarious.
Look. It's probably not the first and will not be the last time Japan picks an English name because it maybe sounds vaguely cool to them, only to later realize it is hilarious to everyone else.
And so they tried to get a little serious with the bad guy
With Dick?
having
They
a
get
secret.
serious with Dick?
Serious Dick.
Yes.
Serious backstory.
Yes, Serious Dick, serious backstory with the he was
Mind
master
transfer
of the
and
secret
dark
magic and all this.
Hokey
and of course,
bullshit.
yeah, and of course, you know, Katarina saves him with the power of
basic
friendship.
decency.
Yeah, basic human decency. The same way that she made every other character fall in love with her. And like, look, I wasn't expecting anything to happen, but man, I hate the cop outs, like the Fire Emblem epilogue tier
Oh my god.
romance
We're all friends now.
with like the well, see, like Katarina's technically the main character, but the main girl of the game is like twice now. She's like, hey, is there anybody you like? And she's like, I love you very much, Katarina. And like, they're just like, and then they were friends. They promised
that's not
to be.
what I meant.
They promised to be quote unquote friends forever.
The best
platonic
friend
life
system.
partners.
Yeah, the other girl is like, I literally have a plan on where we can escape to and live together forever. I just need to get you to come with me.
Haha, we'll never need to do that.
But you know, in the end, she unlocks the friendship ending where she's just everybody is just friends with everybody at the end.
Okay, so like
It's like, look, okay, you know what? It's dumb, but I enjoy the show. I very much like shows where just people are nice to each other at this point. But I feel like I've had my fill of it, and we don't need more of it.
Right.
I have no idea
I'm not
where
sure
they
what's
would be
gained
going.
by going further at this point.
so that's the thing I was going to ask is like, so you said that this season 2 will be continuing past what existing source material there is,
Well,
right?
I don't know if it goes past source
There's
material,
source
but
material of this property that that continues on, but the in-universe Otoma game is over,
Right.
and so
the
gimmick
like,
of
right.
her knowing what's happening and trying to specifically avert her fate.
So in other words, it will then just develop into a traditional Otome
guess?
story. Because because if she no longer has knowledge of what's coming ahead, then with its one gimmick lost, it just becomes a standard Otome story, right? Like,
right.
and I guess it's
Exactly.
like, again, to kind of echo our conversation about anime comedies that get, you know, multiple seasons, like, based on the way you're talking, it's like, in a lot of, again, I have not watched it, but it sounds like maybe the most unnecessary season 2 announcement I've ever heard, because
I might agree with that.
like it's not
up
even
there.
it's not even a classicaloid or an Osomatsu situation of like, this is a comedy that is like intrinsically bit based, right? Like it is intrinsically
right.
based on episodic bits, and so a season 2 announcement at least like hints at like the ability to continue exploring in that space. But if you're, you know, more like, I guess, like linear narratively focused like this show is, like, yeah, where do you go from here?
Well, I think the one thing I would say, so apparently there was like a 3-episode stretch of anime original episodes,
Right.
which was just like them dicking around for a couple episodes. And I imagine that's what a season 2 would look like if things carried on as is.
That sounds unappealing.
Which were like, it was fine for like an episode or two, but like I don't want like a whole nother season of like literally nothing happening, just like everybody spinning their wheels for another 12 episodes. I do wonder if there would be another like time loop thing going on, or if they would like, I don't know, you guys said there was a spin-off where she doesn't know what happens or something, or
There's a
I don't
spin-off
know.
where she gains her memories only after she's already at school.
Oh right, she gains them late at school rather than when she's a kid, so she can't like plan ahead of time.
I skimmed a bit of the manga for that, and it honestly is not different enough to warrant.
Yeah, well, that was my thought on it, but I'm just trying to think of like other angles they could approach other than let's just continue the story as is. But I think any way you spun it, even if like the time loop reset or something like that, it would still basically be the same show, right? Like I don't know where else they could go with it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see why you'd make season 2 of this.
Yeah. So I mean, then my question, of course, is when it eventually does come around, are you gonna still check it out?
Maybe like one episode.
I mean, I would definitely watch like the first episode or two
Sure,
just to see what happens, but you know, I guess depending on how many other good shows were airing that season. I'd watch it if it were airing next.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it was airing this summer season, would you still stick with it?
I would definitely watch it this coming season.
Oh
but
boy, what an endorsement!
I don't know why this has to exist other than it's been pretty popular. Like I've seen it. It's been near the top of Crunchyroll's popular list.
Let me tell you, sometimes that's all a show, that's all the justification an anime needs to keep going.
And hey, you know what? I mean, this show is so harmless that, hey, if people like it and they want to watch it, I'd rather they watch this than, some other,
Peter Grill or fucking whatever.
Right. So, I'm not mad at it. I don't know if I'm going to keep watching it.
Sure.
So.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Could have been worse.
Hey, some shows are just like that, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I can definitively say you guys don't want another season of our next show.
No.
No.
Good. Listeners was not great.
So how did they try to end this?
So the thing is that Iro, I feel like, is giving a really weirdly understated, like, judgment of Listeners. It's not that Listeners wasn't just not great. Listeners was baffling. It was
just like barely made sense.
It's like not just baffling and like how did they make something this bad, right? Because look, there's a lot of bad anime gets made every season. All right, a lot of bad anime gets made. Like
right. I was
and
just
a lot of
I didn't understand what Listeners was trying to do at all.
Right. Like, a lot of bad anime is bad because they had certain ambitions and they failed to capture them. Or they had bad intentions to begin with, right? Like, the show's premise is just intrinsically bad. Or sometimes it's bad because of execution, right? The technical, they just cannot, bring it together in terms of the visuals and the writing and the music. But Listeners is bad in the sense that I have no clue what the narrative team of this show were even thinking. Like I have tried to skim every Daisato interview that has come out since the airing of Listeners to try to glean some information on what he was thinking. And I have nothing. It doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't help that, fucking Japanese interviews, I'm not gonna even get into it here, but, man, I fucking... I think the reason why we like Yoko Taro interviews so much is because, I feel
he doesn't fucking pussyfoot around.
Right, I don't know why, but just, 95% of Japanese interviews are just total fucking chicken shit.
This is all PR,
It's just the most fucking lowball,
Right.
what were you thinking when you made popular character? And, like, the answer, it's not even just the questions are chicken shit. The answers are chicken shit, too. They never give the real version. It's always just like, oh, I wanted to create a character that was
appealing
unique
to everyone.
and appealing. And it's like, no, you didn't. You
look forward to it.
Like, oh, yeah, right. Look forward to it. Why do they always fucking say look forward to it? Like, of course, fuck off. If I'm reading this interview, of course I'm looking forward to it. Like, it's the same reason why Trigger, like, interviews are, like, the only good anime interviews as well, because they actually talk about shit, right? Like, it's...
Oh, that's like, did you guys watch the live stream?
We were a little too hammered.
We were
Yoshinari?
a little too out of it, but...
No, there was actually a part because he was drawing
Michiru,
to your point,
right?
G here. He was drawing Michiru. He was from BNA,
right?
And somebody asked what was the inspiration of the character or whatever, and he went on this whole tangent about how it all goes back to Felix the cat. and then after minutes before saying he didn't think he had time to finish, he's just started drawing Felix the cat. Doraemon and there's one other Astro Boy, like all these like round-faced characters,
that's
and then
Yoshinari.
he drew like Michiru, and then he drew Michiru as like the round-faced, like similar style character to see like the evolution of
Thanks, Yoshinari.
of where he was coming from.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, so it was a legitimate answer to the question.
Right, it's like, but I don't know, man. Just so many like I know that like they're a very polite society. It's just like. Y'all can get into a little bit more of like, oh, why'd you make this character? Because she's fucking cool and she's got big tits. Like, it's okay to just say that. It's okay to say that. Like, look at Yoko Taro. Why do you like 2B? Because she's got a fat ass. It's fine. It's okay to say that. All right. Maybe not everybody will like that answer, but it's an acceptable answer. Like, fuck. Like, imagine the kind of like, chicken shit pussyfooting you'd have to do if any other developer in the world tried to justify 2B's design in Nier Automata. Like, oh, I wanted to create a beautiful, appealing character with a mysterious aura to her. Like, no, fuck off with that shit.
And then, right, whereas you ask Yoko Taro and Akiko Yoshida, and they're like, we wanted to make her appealing and also easy to cosplay. Also, we like girls. We had an argument whether to give her a big ass or big boobs, and so we made a compromise.
I mean, Yoko Taro literally said, "Send me fan art," right?
Right,
like...
not just fan art. Send me the porn. Like, and
right.
again, I'm not saying every creator should be Yoko Taro. Yoko Taro is special because he's one of a kind. I'm just like, I really wish interview subjects in Japanese interviews could just be a little bit more honest, because to bring this all the way back to listeners.
Yes. Speaking of listeners,
every Daisato interview where they're like, "So, how did you come about listeners?" You know what his answer was? "Oh, I really like music. I wanted to make a show about music."
It's not about music, though.
Motherfucker, listeners, it's not about music. Like, music exists, but that show is not about music. Like, don't get it fucking twisted. Like Watanabe makes anime about music. You, sir, just happen to have music in your shows. Like, it's just baffling.
What actually happened in the end?
Mew turned out to actually be listeners, the king of all the monsters, and so everyone has to team up to punch her in the face long enough for Echo? Is that his name?
Echo. Yes,
for
Echo
him
Rec.
to show up and punch her in the face, and also Naked Space Fly.
And confesses love to her, which breaks her out of her brainwashing. You know,
and now all humans and heroes can coexist.
Spoilers, not really spoilers, but to all the people out there who've watched Eureka 7, Mew is the scub coral. That's all you need to hear. You should probably understand the rest of how that show develops as a result. It's just not good. Like, and but it's not good in this like really disjointed way that doesn't make sense. It doesn't like, it's not just bad in the sense of like, oh wow, that was a bad ending, or wow, they rushed through that, huh? It's bad in this like, I don't even understand what motivated their specific
exist?
narrative decisions. And I think it is immediately telling that, like, the only time during the end when the episode of this show, when, like, it was, like, sort of half decent, is that the penultimate episode is the most generic, just like, we got to get all the people we met along the journey to band together to launch one last desperate attack.
Every named character uses every named attack.
Right, and of course it fails to stop the main villain because the main hero's got to stop the main villain, but it's like, okay, it's like, it's fine, like, it's neat to watch everybody bust out. Look, it is cool when characters bust out their final attack. Like, that's just a rule of anime.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's not even worth getting into the plot because I don't think we could even, like, adequately explain it. It's so...
We explained it already, is the thing.
Right, I guess we did. Yes, Muse the Scub Coral. We explained the plot. It's... Yeah, I don't know. It's just confounding. Like, I think, like, I need that, like, GDC post-mortem, like, panel that is just, like, somebody grilling Daisato for an hour about every narrative choice made in that show and, like, what preceded it, what motivated it, like, why? Just why? Like, you want my back of the box quote for the listeners, BD? Like, from the glorioblog.com, listeners, why? ...
Why? Question mark. Well, that is disappointing.
You know what else was weird, baffling, for entirely different reasons?
Oh, yeah.
The other mech show from spring 2020.
Let's talk about Sakura Wars, the animation.
Shin Sakura Wars.
Sure.
Which...
How'd that go?
It was fine.
It was
fine.
mean,
you guys told me about the good moments last
really,
time.
Like, it was a very normal conclusion. But
what if I told you that after everything we had just said, the penultimate episode of Listeners was better constructed than the penultimate episode of Sakura Wars? Like maybe not in terms of the actual, like, content and storytelling, but what if the actual, like, the general overarching framework of the episode was better done in Listeners than Sakura Wars?
That's not encouraging.
No.
I mean, is it a case of they expect you to know stuff from the game, or...
No, I don't think it's even that, because we talked to Chris, the only person we know to have beaten that game, and even he was like,
yeah,
dog, I don't fucking get it. And
because he actually watched the anime too, right?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
And
he didn't know what was going on either.
The plot questions are not answered in a satisfactory manner, or at all.
No, and that's kind of the thing that's annoying about it, is, like, you can't even tell if, like, Sakura Wars the animation is, like, is this the like, non-canon Garo sequel movie of Sakura Wars the video game? Or is this the, like, Sakura Wars 1.5 that leads into Shin Sakura Wars 2? Like, it... Is this... Because it doesn't...
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Hiro.
Just, like... all... The mechs are fighting monster stuff is all fine and enjoyable enough, but when it comes to the plot stuff of... this is following up on this game and is an installment in this multimedia franchise that presumably they want to follow up on. It just feels like a bunch of disjointed stuff that's stringing you along so that you check out Shin Sakura Wars 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because nothing is answered.
And, like...
it's... yeah.
And even, like, the status quo changes that happened in the anime... it's hard to tell how much of it even matters or how much of it sticks. Like, is Clara gonna even be a character in the hypothetical Shin Sakura Wars 2?
Right.
Or is she literally reduced to a footnote in the sequel where they're like, where's Clara? Oh, she went back to Moscow. Teehee. Like, is that it? Like, we can't even tell because they don't give us enough, like, to convince us one way or the other that this anime matters to the overall, like... overarching Sakura Wars universe or whatever.
I'm curious to see in the hypothetical the hypothetical upcoming Shin Sakura Wars 2, if A, Clara is still a member of the Combat Review, B, do I have their super flying mech thing still?
Is her teacher the fucking
angel thing?
Will she ever be addressed again? Like, is any of that going to be relevantly dealt with in the sequel? Like,
I'm gonna guess no.
But then why would you introduce all of it? That's a problem, right? Why would you reveal all this?
Yeah,
why would you introduce all of this in your anime if none of it matters?
It's not even self-contained and like cheesy enough for your non-canon side
because
movie.
Here's the thing.
Because
like,
it leaves everything open-ended.
Right, like, I don't think any of us have any issue with the non-canon spin-off, right? Look, we love the My Hero Academia movies, right? Like, those things might as well be non-canon, but it sure is cool to watch everybody punch stuff real good. But like,
I generally don't like them, but that's a long-standing anime tradition.
Right,
like,
and it's an excuse for visual spectacle, but like this show doesn't really even necessarily pull that off that well, right? Like, if it's a non-canon spin-off, like, aren't those things basically just exist to be fan service, right? It's like, oh man, remember all those characters you like? Well, what if we just had them doing more of the stuff you like? But it's because it continues to be confusing. Because again, as we mentioned way earlier, like, there are plot lines in the anime that apparently were cut from the game due to time restraints. That remember we were talking about Hatsuho and how her plot line in the anime is basically post-game story DLC that should have been in the video game, and it's like, wait, so does it matter or doesn't it? Like, I don't know.
You're weird.
Like,
I feel like if you're doing a multimedia franchise, this is just my personal feelings. I feel like if you're doing a multimedia franchise, even if they're all canon, etc., they should not rely on each other so heavily to know what's happening.
Yeah, and no, I think that's a good point. It's just
I'm inclined to think this is all not going to matter, and that if they do the hypothetical sequel game,
sure,
they have to bring in a new cast of girls to date. So like, it's just going to be
old Sakura Wars had just kept adding more. Well, all the old ones were still there.
I guess you could just keep adding more, but
again, it's absurd to me. That's like the most fucked up thing I've ever heard about that franchise. That actively pushes me away from it, honestly. But honestly, what you guys are talking about leads into my other point about Sakura Wars. We're like, okay, if none of this matters, if this is all just fluff, why the fuck did they not go harder into the goofy 90s anime kitchen sink setting?
Right.
Like, Sakura Wars the animation takes itself way too seriously for what is supposed to be a fluff piece non-canon spin-off anime, if that is truly what it is. Like, it is just so melodramatic.
Occasional peaks of like goofy
spectacle.
Like,
we were talking about the third to last episode, right, where they attacked the ship by launching out of a giant fucking slingshot, basically. Mm-hmm. Like, that's great. That's awesome. It's absurd. It's everything we expected out of like our like cultural osmosis based understanding of Sakura Wars as a franchise. Is that it is this ridiculous steampunk robot demon fighting kitchen sink craziness, but the constant like vibe I got from Sakura Wars the animation is like the people working on it felt just a little bit too cool for school. Like,
yeah,
they were a little too cool for what Sakura Wars is. They were.
Creators not understanding the strengths of their work is not an uncommon thing, right?
No, definitely not. But it's just like too often, Sakura Wars the animation has like two roads ahead of it: the goofy '90s anime option, and then the like way too self-serious melodramatic option. And it takes the latter like 9 times out of 10. Like, it's just like, we're too good to get silly like that. It's like, really?
Yeah, I kind of got
Wars?
I kind of got a little bit of that impression from the game, the amount that I played, where it was either they were not taking it they were either taking it too seriously or just handling things too dry when they should have been embracing, how ridiculous the whole premise is and everything. Which, having only played one previous Sakura Wars game, that was not the case in the previous, the whatever numbered game I played, 4 or 5 or whatever. Yeah. That was not the case where they very much embraced that whole concept in that one. But, so I don't know if it's just like the new people they have working on it are not grasping what the strength of the show or the franchise is.
Maybe.
Or, I don't know. But I get the impression that whatever happened in the anime is just done. That was just gone now.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. It's just like, again, like I'm not a big fan of the series. I haven't played every entry, so I can't really speak to it. But it's just like, if I was a fan of this series and this anime amounted to fucking nothing in the sequel, I feel like I'd be a little annoyed, honestly. Like, I feel like I'd be kind of mad. I'd be like, wait, really? Like, you just wasted my time with all of this, like, these plot reveals that amounted to nothing? I don't know.
I mean, video game anime do not have a great reputation.
No, they do not.
So, I mean,
Yep.
maybe the bar has already been low for that anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't even play the opening in the last episode over the
Oh my
climax.
god!
Oh, yeah,
right, they didn't.
that's-
Again, that's what we talk. Right, like that's what we mean. We say like this show maybe doesn't really get the spirit of that franchise, right? Or not, or maybe even Mecha. Come on, man, you gotta play the OP in the finale, right? Like that's the thing. That's
Come on.
They
right.
had one job to
Good
do.
one job.
Like,
It's a Sakura's opening.
Right, and it's like, you're a franchise that, if we're being really frank and cynical, is famous for about roughly one thing, and it's that opening. It's that god-tier legendary intro. And, what, were you
Did they at least play it when she pilots the old
No.
the old mech?
No!
That would have been an acceptable alternative.
No, they don't. It's like, it's almost like, what, are you ashamed of your intro? Like...
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I don't know, yeah. This is more than Sakura Wars deserves, but, I don't know. If you're like a fucking mega fan of this series, like, I mean, you probably already watched it anyway, but
Tell
all I
us
can
what the
say
fuck
is,
is
like,
going on.
yeah, tell us what's going on, first of all, and then second of all, like, as somebody who has had his heart broken by a franchise he loves a lot in the past, I just say I'm sorry, and I understand your pain, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like there's no other reason to watch it other than if you're just diehard Sakura Wars fan. All right. Well, let's keep this disappointment train rolling, I guess.
Yes.
Let's talk about Sing Yesterday for Me,
Huh?
which has finished for the time being.
Uh-huh.
And I will start by giving the show a little bit of credit.
Yes.
The final 2 episodes, the two older characters, the main guy and the teacher, they finally get together, which they've been slow burn.
though?
Well, they technically are dating.
Are they?
I'll get to that. That's what they've been building up to the whole time, right?
Yes.
They finally say, all right, let's just go for it, as much as
we're
every
able to do.
fiber of their being seems opposed to it. And I actually like that they
Gave it a shot.
intentionally depict their relationship as not working.
Right, sure.
Like,
Spend some
they're
time on them, like, trying to date, and it really just not happening.
They have no romantic chemistry, like, whatsoever. And,
Right.
Or even just as, like, they can't stand to be, and it's not like they're annoyed with each other, but they're not comfortable. Like, they can't, like,
Right.
open up and, like, say what they're feeling, and, like, they're always like, oh, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, and, and it's like, pro tip for all you young folks out there: if you've been friends with somebody a long time, and you have intentions of moving your relationship into a, like, more romantic direction, it's probably not going to work. I'm just going to throw that out there for you. If it hasn't, if you don't have that spark from the very beginning on both sides, it's probably not going to work. Either continue to enjoy being friends or move on with your life. I'm just going to throw that out there for all you young folks out there.
Gel fucking shooting from the hip here. Just
I'm saying it because I've been there, man. It's probably not going to work, and that's kind of what happens here, where it's like, you know, they've been friends for a long time, and they try to move in this other direction, and it's just not working because there's just no chemistry there. Like, they don't have that kind of relationship. And I think.
So they do. Wait. I'm sorry.
So
I have not been
they
watching
try
this
to date.
show, so
they try to date for 2 episodes.
This whole show,
and
this guy's been like, "I want to hook up with you," and she's like,
okay. So if I'm remembering correctly, based on what you guys said, there is that lady.
There's 4 characters.
Right. There's that lady that he's known for a while. There's the teacher. There's the crow girl.
Well, no, she's the teacher.
No, she's the teacher. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Crow girl. Are
safety
those,
pin.
Safety
kid.
pin. Okay. Oh my
okay,
God.
so main guy likes the teacher.
Okay.
Because they went to college together, and he's held a torture for a long time, and he's trying to hook up with her, and she's like, I'm not really into a relationship right now.
And then she reveals,
is this the same teacher who's getting teased for not dating?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she reveals later that she's still hung up over her high school boyfriend that died from anime illness.
Who is Safety Pin Kid's older brother. So Safety Pin Kid is like, you need to stop hanging out with my brother and hang out with me instead because I like you. And she's like, you're too much like your brother, and also
and we
weird.
Talk about her wildly inappropriate relationship with this kid, because even though her high school boyfriend died like however many years ago now, at this point she still hangs out at their house and like makes dinner for his dad and
right, because they're childhood friends or whatever. And Crow Girl's just over here, and she likes main guy, and she's annoyed that he keeps going after teacher instead of her.
Right.
So she somehow ends up the most blameless out of all of them.
Well, because she's just like a dumb kid with bad taste in men, right? Like,
exactly.
It's fine. It's understandable.
Whatever.
She's supposed to be like.
That's a common terminal disease in anime characters.
She's supposed to be like 18 or 19 or something.
Awful
and
taste in men.
And I thought there was going to be more to like their history together or something, but I guess she just saw him on the street.
She just
one
likes
day
him and
was
keeps going after him, and
I like this guy even though I don't have a reason. Like, people have asked, why do you like him? And she's like, I don't know, I just like him.
What? Not even a justification of like, I once stayed behind after school and saw you trying to do the high jump, and you never gave up.
No, that's like I guess she saw it, like they flash back like she saw him like
I think there probably
on
I
the
think
street,
there was something,
like they walked by each other on the street.
I think there
or
was
something,
and I just don't fucking remember.
Yeah, it was not.
Anyway,
it was pretty paper thin, but yeah.
Main guy tries to date teacher for what best I could figure based on the show, like a couple months pass over those couple of episodes where this relationship does not progress at all.
Do you think it was that long?
I think so.
I know it wasn't like. Yeah, I know it wasn't like 3 days or something, but I don't know if it was months. It was a period of time.
It was at least from Christmas to like the end of the school year, which is like.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, they try to date for a couple months then, and like every time they show them together, like they're just like awkward and uncomfortable, and it's just like clearly not working. And I give the show credit for doing the right thing and like not only depicting that appropriately, but they do end up breaking up at the end because they realize they're smart enough to realize this just isn't working.
Right.
I was a little annoyed about like the main guy talking like he's like some like 40-year-old man, you know, life's flying by and all that, and these people are like 22 at most or something. Like
younger than me.
and he's like sitting there talking like an old man or something.
Yeah,
but,
and so he, dramatically goes after Crow Girl at the bus station or whatever.
Well, that's the problem, right? Like so like I actually I liked that they had that depiction of their relationship and how that went through its course, and they came to the correct conclusion that, hey, this isn't working, and I thought that was depicted well. But like what happens after that, it's just pure like.
Right.
Just having shown very little interest in this girl before, out of nowhere, he's like, I have to find her and tell her that I love her now.
Well,
Yep. And she's like, oh, you're finding one for me? Sweet. Let's go. I'm into this now. And
yeah, even
now
though
they're dating, everybody happy, I guess.
And I don't know what happens with the teacher and safety pin kid.
I don't know.
There were still some hang-ups going on over there.
Kogel's boss at the cafe is getting married.
Yes, her boss at the cafe that we saw in like 2 scenes is getting married at the end.
well, good for him.
Yay.
Well, it's a woman, but
Her.
yes, and it was just like, as Artemis said, none of these people deserved that. The ending, there was no build up to that ending at all. Like, there was no, like, the relationship between the main guy and the crow girl was just like,
Didn't exist.
it was like her dumb one-sided crush and him brushing her off the whole show.
Yeah.
So like to jump from that
To him being like, actually, I decided I do like you.
I mean, this all...
Yeah, actually,
look, in a vacuum, the way you guys describe this guy sounds like a total fucking piece of shit. Like, he basically strung along this girl for, like, months on end.
Yeah.
Goes out with the girl he's primarily aiming for, realizes it doesn't work, and it's like...
And now you're
Guess I'll settle
my
with the
backup
next one.
plan.
And it just like, and she's supposed to be like, oh boy, I win. Like, I like, what? No, like...
No, he actually tries to say that in his big confession speech of, oh, you know, I know it's going to look like
I'm settling for second choice.
Right.
But isn't he?
And it's like,
He is!
no, yeah, you are, though. That's the thing.
Like, this dude sounds like fucking Garbo. Like...
I mean, the both him and the teacher were both stringing along these younger people. Like, the whole thing with the safety pin kid, too, is like, he's like, you know, wait for me to grow up because, you know, I'm
better than my dead
I'm
brother.
in love with you, and I'm better than my dead brother, and I'm better than that loser guy that you're dating, which is probably true, but it's a low bar. No, yeah, the safety pin kid's kind of a jerk, too, actually. But, he's very pushy.
Man.
But she doesn't tell him no.
It's kind of funny how...
Like, even when they're, when she's dating the main guy, like, one of the whole big things is, like, she can't bring herself to tell Safety Pin Kid that they're dating for whatever reason.
God, right.
And she can never say, hey, kid, it's not happening. You know, she never just, like, shuts him down and basically keeps stringing him along.
You know what anime had a really good story about a younger kid trying to grow out of the shadow of his older brother and impressing his ex while also going through his own adolescent growth? Fooly motherfucking Cooley. Basically did the exact same plot line. Sounds like it did it way better. Did it in 6 episodes and probably had much better music.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It'd be a closer comparison if the safety pin kid was the main guy,
right?
But yes, that premise is done much better.
Yeah,
with his space pirate girlfriend flying off to yes, but I don't know, man. It's just like
it wasn't worth it.
It probably I don't think it was.
So,
and
you guys watch...
I think.
Did you guys watch the whole thing? Is it done? Like,
I think there's supposed to be like extra episodes somewhere, but
right. So there are more episodes.
For the time being,
I think this is
done.
the ending.
Because I was always confused by this one, right? Because you guys kept talking about how like it's like a season and a half, basically. Like,
I think so. I'm unclear now on
14, 15 episodes.
I have not confirmed that myself.
Okay,
so I don't know exactly. It's definitely done for the time being.
All right,
and
so
that was probably a place to stop, but
so it did cover the entirety of the original like source material.
I don't know if it covered all the source material.
Okay, because the thing I was going to say is like, at least you guys only suffered through 12 episodes of this. Imagine if this exact same plot you guys watched was stretched out over like 15 volumes over the course of a decade.
Right.
Like,
I think it was like 18 years or something. The manga.
Imagine that. Imagine this exact same story. Except
I highly doubt. I highly doubt this was the end of the manga.
Okay, I was like, imagine if you had to fucking. You had to live 18 fucking years to see the conclusion.
My understanding is that in the end of the manga, he does hook up with Crow Girl, though. So.
Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. Then.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think what has disappointed me throughout this whole show's run is there are glimpses of like things that could have been good as far as like the production values, and I think even the actual moment to moment dialogue rating's pretty good.
Right, I will say it is a well produced show. It looks good, etc.
Yeah. But, like, the overall plot and the characters, which is the heart of the show, were very frustrating and not worth our time.
Yeah, I mean, it's, for better or worse, I never checked it out because, again, I'm not gonna act like I knew the whole time, but, like... That's not immediately clear.
It's not immediately clear either watching it. Like, the first couple episodes...
But...
were still good enough that you had like hope that this was going somewhere.
Where I was going
and then probably around the midpoint, you start to realize, oh no, the ship's not turning around.
Right.
Is it?
Yeah. The thing I was going to say is like, I mean, it is still disappointing in the sense that like, the reason I never checked out is because I just heard enough scuttlebutt of like, oh, this doesn't necessarily go in the direction you want it to, and I was like, well, I don't got fucking time to invest in a show like that, but. I think it's still unfortunate because it sounds like the show was well made and, like, at least initially, like... Because the thing I remember you guys talking about at the beginning of the season is, like... Yeah, the romance stuff is whatever, but it's, like, a really good slice-of-life show.
There, in the beginning, there was more of... I guess it starts to take a harder turn into the romance part, too.
Right.
So, the stuff about being, a aimless adult... aimless young adult and just hanging out and trying to figure out life, like that stuff was pretty good like in the beginning,
right?
But that kind of eventually takes a back seat to the romance drama, and which I mean honestly we should have seen coming. I don't think anyone just didn't think it was going to go that way. I think we maybe just had more hope that they would handle it better or go in a better direction or do something to make us like the characters. I don't know, but it just there were enough glimpses of hope in the beginning that I'm not necessarily kicking myself for sticking with it, but in hindsight I can now say it's probably not worth watching. Now that we've made it through the whole thing. So,
well, maybe next time, Dogakobo.
At least it's not what they've been doing.
It's better than it was better than most of the shows they've been cranking out over the past couple of years.
This is like a total fucking like just tangent. I don't even know. It's probably not even next season because we didn't talk about it. But y'all see that PV for like Dogakobo's next show?
No.
Like they're expanding into the pretty boys market next by the looks of it.
Fine.
Looks like I literally just watched it on my fucking phone muted, so I have no fucking clue what it's about. I don't even remember the name. I just remember it's Dogakobo.
Well, I think
and it's pretty boys.
They've tapped into that a couple of times. I think their highest selling show ever was Token Rambu, but
so hey, maybe they're just returning to that well now.
Yeah, or they had another one, something like Clouds in the Sky or something. I can't remember. That was a pretty boy thing, which did well for them. But yeah, sure, whatever. I don't think that's next season, so we'll run across that in fall or whenever. All right,
yep.
Let's wrap things up with a good show.
Yeah.
Wave, Listen to Me. Last episode was pretty solid, I thought. I think this also ran into the we don't have a good stopping point.
Yeah,
we need to find a way to cut this off because there are so many open threads going by the end of the show.
Yeah, I think I mean, for better or worse, all right. Maybe that's our back-of-the-box quote for Wave Listen to Me is, from the GLORIO blog, Wave Listen to Me, still a good show. Which is maybe the apt description, in that I think we broadly still like that show by the end, but yeah, it feels like a show that maybe if it had been given a second season, maybe another 13 episode, would have really begun to have like found its pace, found its voice. Or, I think that show had found its voice. I think it had found its tone pretty early on. It's just that it is juggling such a large cast, and in a good way, the cast have so many like kind of interesting overlapping plot lines that it is unfortunate that most of them don't get addressed. And let's be real, Wave Listen to Me probably ain't getting another season, so we're probably never gonna see those plot lines addressed. And so Wave Listen to Me is kind of forced to rely on a very safe and so the adventure continues, ending, complete with end of show main character monologue about radio's not so bad after all. And it's
they give the I did laugh at the whole, see, radio is still relevant, we promise.
This situation to make radio relevant.
And
it's
I don't know, man. It's like, well, consider what we know about Minari. She does not feel like the character that would ever give that fucking speech in a million years. Like, the Minari I know would be like, man, that earthquake was fucking wild. Well, I guess it's a good thing I still have a job.
Right. No, I've been trying to put my finger on what happened to this show from episode 1 and 2, where we're like, this is one of many shows we declared was the best show this season.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to say it went wrong. It just did maybe not go the way we were expecting.
I think that Wave's, again, in scare quotes, decline is a little hard to mark. There isn't a specific moment. There's not like this is where it all fell apart. Mm-hmm. It felt very gradual, and in a way that it's not like the things that are good about it disappeared, right? Like, there are still, up to the very end, all those moments of Minari being the dirtbag millennial she is, but yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's maybe, I guess, at most, it's
I mean, was it really just they tried to do too much?
Maybe it is, because I think all the moments with Minari are still pretty solid, right? I'd say Minari's last really good moment in that show is that last conversation she has with the writer, the older writer dude, right? And they're trading back and forth, right? Because this is a dude who could clearly keep up with Minari's bullshit, and she's just throwing jabs at him nonstop, and he's just bitch, I'm way too fucking old to fall for your bullshit. And it's right, this is what's good about this character and this cast is she is a kind of an acerbic character, right? She has a bit of a caustic personality, and maybe she does broadly mean well, but this is who she is, and that is what makes her a natural fit for radio. And I think it's you have the beginning of the final episode revealing, oh no, the person writing the jokes into that rival radio program was actually the sister all along, the one who's been living with Nakahara, right? And it's oh no, the restaurant. Oh no, the what's going on with Mitsuho and her weird crush on the older dude, and it's
are we still up in the air whether that's a crush or not, or is she just
kind of feel like it is, because or at least it is being hinted at, right? Because you have that younger audio producer guy who is clearly kind of miffed by at least what he is perceiving, right? Because there was that episode earlier where he tries to make a move.
Well, his perception of it could be the joke, where
right?
She just admires him as a writer, or wanting to be like him as a writer. But
and it's I like a lot of that side cast, right? I think a lot of it does work. I mean, you have that bit towards the end of that last episode where Nakahara is comforting the sister, right? And he tries to bust out this real smart sounding quote. And he's like, I got it from a TV show. And she's like, wait, isn't that like a real quote from like an accomplished philosopher or scientist? And he's like, oh,
They
yeah,
probably
that's
got from that.
Right. It's like, there are good bits like that. It was like, he means well, but he is a little bit of a doofus, right? Like, I think that a lot of the character interactions still really worked all the way till the end, but it's like, maybe it is just a case of too many cooks in the kitchen, right? There are too many ingredients here, like...
Yeah, and I feel like we were chasing different directions episode to episode.
Right.
And it didn't feel like it was all coming together as like one thing. It's just like a lot of things happening.
Yeah. I
once.
feel like, because the manga is still ongoing, right?
Yes.
I feel like the show ended around when it was just starting to establish the like long-running plot arcs that we would be following, and it was just the period of the manga where you're doing these episodic bits to establish the tone and setting and characters, so that you can
like
move up to the plot arcs.
Right, this is like 12 episodes of setup.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
And then we have to go.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's unfortunate because, right, there are so many interesting things at play, right? Like, there's still, like, what the fuck is up with that brother? You know, right, like, what is, how is the sister and Nakaharu's relationship gonna go? How is Minare's fucking radio career gonna go? How about the veteran radiocaster who shows up the last episode and she hasn't done anything, like, otherwise, right? What's Mitsuho's deal, right? Like, there's all these, like, great disparate plot lines, but yeah, I think you're right. It just doesn't, by the very nature of like being a serial narrative, it just didn't have enough time to get into that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, like, I think we all enjoyed the show, and like, we liked what they were doing. It's just either we ran out of time or maybe it needed to be trimmed down a little bit. I don't know what you would have cut. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
My understanding is that it actually already kind of is trimmed down. Like, I've heard from fans of the manga that they did cut out some of the more, like, standalone, like, if not arcs, but, like, bits, basically. Like, so, like... Apparently, even trimmed down, this is the best the show could do. This is the best stopping point the show could get to with the little time it had.
Yeah, and it's like I want to spend more time in this universe with these characters, which is an accomplishment. But like, I feel unsatisfied.
Right, how the show is wrapped up.
And I mean, like, you know, I am definitely not going to make this argument in seriousness, but like, I suppose there is like an argument to be made that like maybe that's kind of just what being an aimless millennial feels like. Right? Like, you don't get your happy ending. Sorry, you don't defeat the Dark Lord and your life just comes together. It's like,
just maybe,
this is life.
Maybe
it's
the next day is you're slightly better off than the day before.
Yeah, you know, like, if you look at Minari by the end of the show compared to where she was at the start, drunkenly ranting at a dude she met, like, 10 minutes ago, like, she got her revenge against her ex, you know, she has found something that, you know, again, maybe it's not the thing she's gonna love for the rest of her life, but it's something she's good at and is enjoying. She has friends, a support network of people who will put up with her, like...
Right.
You know, maybe that's all. Maybe those are the victories you can hope for. You can hope to get.
Yeah, maybe that's all we can hope for,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
But as a serial narrative, though, yes, it's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like I said, I liked everything going on. It feels like I can't think of another show that to compare this to. I mean, it feels very unique, and it's just. You know, we ran out of time, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's, you know, again, I think, like, you know, shout-outs to the show, though, you know, shout-outs to the VA they got from Minare. Like, I think that, again, a lot of that show is very well done. I think that...
Yeah, that was a challenging role.
Yeah.
And she did very well.
And, you know, maybe in some weird world, I mean, again, it was written by, you know, Hiroaki Samura, who is, like, a pretty well-known name in, like, those circles, right, because of his, you know, work for Blade of the Immortal. Like, maybe there is some chance, right, that thing gets a second shot down the line. Probably not, right? But
I'll be surprised if this sells over 500 Blu-rays.
yeah. But hey, if it ever does get a second season announced, I'll be more than happy to return to the wintry lands of Hokkaido.
Yeah, this is I think the show is too weird and too perhaps I don't want to say adult, but compared to like your typical high school anime stuff, like I feel like this is not something that's going to sell to the otaku crowd, right?
Yeah, no, because in a lot of ways, it's a weird thing I've been wrangling with because you keep saying there's nothing else like it, and I think I broadly agree, but there's a part of me that's like, well, there are other slice of life out there about adult life, right? Like you have your Shirobakos and your, what the fuck was it called? Sakura quests, you have your, there are shows like this that are slice of life about adults, but it's like, I think the thing that...
I don't think with this type of tone or even the artwork,
yeah, so the direction,
it doesn't look like, it's not cute anime girls,
right,
like it's
the direction I was kind of going with is but the thing I think that I do want to, I definitely want to give credit to Wave Listen to Me for is I wouldn't want every slice of life show to be like this, but it's there is kind of a refreshing honesty and cynicism about the type of adult slice of life that Wave Listen to Me channels. These are characters that are all well past the age of shoot for your dreams, I'm gonna make it in my dream job,
right,
I'm gonna work
right.
on my favorite anime. It's no, these are people well past that point. They don't have any illusions that
there's a surprisingly big difference between 22 and 27. But
yeah. Look, as somebody who, as somebody who's man, I would give any a lot of people are oh man, if you could return back to high school, right? Turn back the clock to high school and keep all your memories. I'm fuck that, dude. I don't want to go through that again. But if you said, if you could just go back to 22, I'd be oh, I'll take that shit in an instant. That. Oh, that would be a game changer, dog.
Yeah.
Do you know how much it was different just that long ago?
Yeah, it's a big jump, surprisingly. But no, I think that's the point though. Is if you compare that to something like the PA work shows that you mentioned, it's you're in a different place in your life. So even though it is about young adults figuring things out, it's at different points in life. But
yeah.
All right. Well, it was a good show. I still think it's worth checking out if that appeals.
Yeah.
If that sounds like something that appeals to you. I don't know if I would say everybody should watch Wave Listen to Me, but if you want something in that area of people in their 20s sorting their life out in a funny, weird, bizarre way, then yes, it's worth watching.
Indeed.
All right, so that wraps up our list. That ties a bow on the spring season.
Except for all the shows that have been delayed to this season.
Yes, which we talked about several of those last time, but I think the only ones that we were looking forward to were No Guns Life and
I mean, okay, in terms of shows we will probably
Digimon's coming back.
back.
Is that the Gundam?
Yeah.
The furry
so
Gundams.
Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, Jel. There is one returning show, yes, from that was supposed to be in spring season that I might actually enjoy, but let's be honest, there's 4 or 5 shows from that season we will feel obligated to watch.
You'll feel obligated to watch.
Well, you're not gonna
Yes.
You're not gonna give Millennium Detective one more shot, even in a post-grade.
All right, I'll give that one more episode. Yeah.
Right, there's that. Yes, there is Gundam. There's Appare Ranman. It's there. There will be things we will be. Look, I'll put it this way: to people who are worried we won't have enough to talk about next this season or this upcoming season. Oh, don't worry. we'll have things to talk about. Now, will we feel good about them? That's an entirely different story.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure we'll find something to talk about, though. We always do. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Just to do our regular housekeeping. Check us out at theglorioblog.com. I think we'll have first look posts coming at some point. If I can convince everyone to watch these awful shows. So keep an eye out for that. You can follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, and also on YouTube. You can tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch everybody next time.